was asked to comment on tariff fatigue by a journalist a few months back. Most of this channel is inspired by questions that I get from either our clients or journalists that are writing a story on a topic that is either, let's say, a buzzword or a trend of interest on their digital publications. So, tariff fatigue. It's not going away. In fact, challenges that come along with uncertainty continue to grow. Additionally, I think there's some miscommunication about it. The thing about articles that you read, they can sometimes be biased. I read an article in a supply chain publication not too long ago that talked about leaders seeing tariffs as a way to strengthen their domestic logistics cost management and innovation with material substitutions. Now, listen, while that concept sounds great, many companies are not actually able to take advantage of that quite so easily. Most are frankly operating on a skeleton staff, and they have already tried getting creative with their cost optimization matrix. And while innovation and material substitutions is a constant initiative for most, it's not always a swap for a swap. And that goes in general. So, while I love some good optimization, I want to assure all of you that may be reading the exact same things that I'm reading and seeing what I'm seeing, that you're not doing anything wrong and you're also not far off from everyone else. So let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to be negative, but I am going to be real with you as always. Planning used to be a strategic advantage. And I'm saying that from both a consultant's perspective as well as my own businesses myself. But in a world of modern tariffs, it's becoming a cruel game of guesswork. Even for me, someone who deals with tariffs and imports and exports every single day. So, in today's episode, we're going to dive into that hasn't been getting the attention it deserves, I think, which is called tariff fatigue. Business leaders are tired, not just from the long hours, which I completely can relate, but from making plans that evaporate the moment a new trade deal hits the headlines. Now, picture this. You're a mid sized food manufacturing company based in the Midwest. This is a hypothetical. Your margins are already tight. Your raw material costs have doubled in the last several months. And now you're hit with another round of unpredictable tariffs. You're not Walmart. And most likely you can't absorb these shifts with a shrug. You don't have the international team for a trade analysis. And what you really just need is stability to run the business, right? Right now, tariffs are shifting more than ever, especially for F&B or food and beverage, consumer goods, electronics, and building materials. The constant back and forth between US and China, EU, and others creates almost like a ping pong effect on supply chain. In May of 2024 alone, we saw new US tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, solar panels, and batteries. And naturally, regulatory threats followed within a few weeks. The F&B sector or the food and beverage sector has been import the F&B sector has seen import duties reimposed on products like olive oil, cheese, and wine. Companies that typically build like a 6 month, let's say, sourcing companies that typically build, let's say, a 6 month sourcing strategy only to throw those out 3 months later, it's a problem. Okay, so let's just be clear. It's not just the cost of that tariff, it's also the cost of replanning. Teams are pouring hundreds of hours into adjusting supply chains, updating pricing models, communicating with suppliers, all to have to do it again when the policy shifts. Companies operating without automation, which I know a lot of you are, or digital visibility, and I don't mean Excel, those still reconciling your spreadsheets, tracking vendors' communications via email, or relying on tribal knowledge, which is really, really dangerous, are suffering the most. They can't simply just adapt. Let's take, for example, this a California specialty food brand who will remain unnamed, shut down last fall after tariffs on imported packaging materials made production unsustainable. A metal parts manufacturer in Illinois had to lay off over 40% of its workforce because of sourcing alternatives that just couldn't be identified in time. Thanks to outdated procurement processes, this is the result. Now, let's be real. This isn't just about numbers like on a spreadsheet, it's about people's livelihood. Business leaders are experiencing decision fatigue, uncertainty over future investments, staff turnover because of low morale, and the unrelenting fear that today's strategy will be obsolete by next week or next month. And here's the thing, it's like a silent suffering because we don't talk about it enough. It rarely makes headlines, but every unexpected tariff throws a wrench into logistics, hiring, pricing, and naturally profits. But there is a moment when things start to change, and that's when companies who have said enough. They've automated sourcing analysis with real time tariff tracking, built a multi supplier model so that you're not beholden to only one region. I've talked about this a bunch of times before, supplier diversity. Some have transitioned from static spreadsheets, which I highly recommend, to dynamic supply chain platforms. And they have leaned into fractional operational leadership to handle the complexity without the overhead. The companies that survive this tariff chaos are not just resilient, they're anti fragile. They're building flexibility into their models. They're treating operations as a strategic weapon, not a back office function. And the third thing is, they know it's not about predicting every tariff because we can't. It's about creating a system that can adapt faster than the next regulation lands. And most importantly, they've accepted the hard truth. Planning is no longer a one time event, which we should know by now. It's an always on capability. If your company is still treating shifts as a surprise event rather than a systematic risk, you're not just behind, you're vulnerable. We help businesses navigate operational chaos, not by scrambling, but by building resilient, data backed, important infrastructures. Because in this new world, the companies who win are the ones who stop playing the tariff game and start designing a system that beats it. Hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who is tired of reacting and ready to lead. Until next time, think bigger, plan smarter, and operate by design.